study the 6th chapter, Democratic Rights. We learned that a democracy must be based on institutions that follow certain rules and procedures. These elements are necessary but not sufficient for a democracy. Elections and institutions need to be combined with a third element, enjoyment of rights, to make a government democratic. Even the most properly elected rulers working through the established institutional process must learn not to cross some limits. Citizens' democratic rights set those limits in a democracy. We begin 6th chapter Democratic Rights by discussing what it means to live without rights. This leads to a discussion on what we mean by rights and why do we need them. As in the previous chapters, the general discussion was followed by a focus on India. Here, we discuss one by one the fundamental rights in the Indian Constitution. Then, we will turn to how these rights can be used by ordinary citizens and who will protect and enforce them. Finally, we take a look at how the scope of rights has been expanding. The first topic of this lesson that we are going to discuss is rights. Rights are reasonable claims of persons which are recognized by society and sanctioned by the law. This means that an unreasonable claim of a person cannot become a right. Moreover, definition and scope of rights change from one society to another and from a period to different period. Now, let's check why do we need rights in a democracy. Rights are necessary for the very existence of democracy. Every citizen has the right to participate in the democratic process. Additionally, every citizen has the right to become the part of the democratic government. Rights protect the rights of the minorities against the majorities. Things can be wrong when some citizens try to take away the rights of others. The next topic that we are going to discuss is right in the Indian Constitution. First one is fundamental rights. Certain rights are fundamental to our life and hence they are given special status in the Constitution. Such rights are called fundamental rights. We will now discuss the fundamental rights guaranteed by the Constitution of India. They are, first one is right to equality. The government shall not deny the right to equality before the law to any persons in India. Every Indian citizen, right from the poor landless labor to the Prime Minister, is equal in the eyes of the law of the land. The law of the land does not discriminate between two persons on the basis of socio-economic status or power. Every citizen has equal access to public places and public facilities like temples, bathing guts, road, public toilets, community wells, etc. Every person gets the equal opportunity to compete for public jobs like civil services, defense services, etc. However, some provisions have been made to give special references to people from the SCs, STs, women and OBCs. Similarly, physically disabled are also given reservation in government jobs. Untouchability in any form has been banned and has been made a punishable offence. So friends, this was all about the right to equality. Next one is right to freedom. The right to freedom means we can do whatever we want to do without interferences from others, especially the government. The right to freedom includes, first one, freedom of speech and expression. Freedom of speech and expression is one of the essential features of democracy. Different people can have different views on an issue. Each people should have the freedom to express his views through various means. But the freedom of speech and expression comes with certain riders. You cannot express certain opinions which may incite public hatred and violence or which may hurt the sentiments of a particular region or community. You cannot incite others to rebel against the country, and you cannot defame someone on false basis. So friends, the freedom of speech and expression is finished. Next one is freedom of assembly in a peaceful manner. There are many issues on which a person or a group of persons need to hold public meeting. Anyone can hold such meetings, but one has to ensure that the meeting remains peaceful and does not turn violent. A meeting or a procession should not lead to destruction of public property. People attending the rally or a meeting should not be carrying weapons. Next point, freedom to form association and unions. Associations and unions are formed by workers and also by professionals. There are many trade unions in the country which promote the cause of the workers. Various professionals like doctors, businessmen, lawyers, etc. make their own associations to promote their cause. Next one, freedom to move to and reside in any part of country. In this, every citizen has the right to travel to any part of the country. One can reside many parts of the country as well. This freedom allows everyone to migrate to another place in search of better opportunities. Many poor villagers have been able to improve their socio-economic status because they have the freedom to move out in search of employment. But people of any other part of India cannot be permanent resident in Jammu and Kashmir. Moreover, the freedom to move to any part of the country can also be curtailed in time of emergency, like an attack or possibility of an attack by an enemy country. Freedom to carry out any profession or business. This is the next point that we are going to discuss now. One can choose any profession as per choice. This freedom ensures that a person can fully realize his or her potential. No person can be deprived of his personal liberty except under certain circumstances. Moreover, the Constitution also gives the right to life, which means a person's life cannot be taken until and unless court awards death sentence to him. This also means that a person cannot be arrested by a police without proper legal sanction. In case of an arrest, the police have to follow some provisions. The provisions are, first one is, the police will inform the person about the reason of confinement. And the second one, the detained person should be produced before the magistrate within 24 hours. Next one is, the detained person has the right to consult a lawyer and engage a lawyer. So these are the different provisions that must followed by a police before the arrest of a person. Now we are going to write against exploitation. This is the next topic that we are going to discuss. This right mainly focuses on three issues, which are, first one, traffic in human beings. Traffic in human beings means the human beings cannot be traded to be used as slaves or to be used as immoral purposes. This law has been especially made to protect human trafficking for sex trade. Second one is bonded labor. The Constitution has banned the forced labor or beggar. If a person is forced to work without pay or at nominal pay, this is termed as beggar. If the beggar continues for a long period, then it is known as bonded labor. Third one is child labor. Child labor has been banned in a country. A child below 14 years of age cannot be employed in hazardous works like factories, railway stations, highway entries, etc. Due to constant effort by the government, there are now very few instances of children working in hazardous occupations like BD making, firecracker factory, bangle factory, etc. Right to freedom of religion. This is the next important topic of this lesson. Now let's study right to freedom of religion. The Constitution gives the right to freedom of religion. As per this right, a person is free to follow a religion of his or her choice. The government does not interfere in the religious matter of its citizens. Every person has the right to profess, practice and propagate his religion. Every religious group or sect is free to manage its religious affairs. But a person cannot compel another person to agree to a particular religion by any means. However, a person is free to convert to any religion on his choice. Freedom of religion does not mean doing anything in the name of religion. For example, nobody can force a widow to tonsure her head in the name of religion. Nobody can perform animal sacrifice in the name of religion. And the government-owned educational institution do not promote any religion, but it cannot prevent a private institution from doing so. Next topic is cultural and educational rights. Every minority group has the right to protect its unique culture and to propagate its unique culture. If a minority group wants to impart education in its own language, it is free to do so, in order to preserve the uniqueness of that language and the related culture. The government-run institution cannot deny admission to anybody on the grounds of religion or language. Right to constitutional remedies. This is the next topic that I am going to discuss with you. What is right to constitutional remedies? Let's look. When any of the fundamental rights is violated, the affected person has the right to seek constitutional remedies. The person can go to the court where his grievances could be addressed. No government organization like the executive, legislature or any government functionary cannot violate the fundamental rights of the citizen. In case of any violation of the fundamental rights, a person can file public interest litigation, which means PIL. PIL is an instrument which allows anybody to knock at the doors of the judiciary, expanding the scope of rights. Now let's look what are the expansion of scope of rights. Time have changed drastically since the days when our constitution was written. Demands for many new fundamental rights have been coming up time and again. Some of these demands have been included under the scope of fundamental rights. For example, the right to education has been included in the list recently. As per this right, every child has the right to get elementary education. Similarly, RTI, which means Right to Information. RTI was enacted recently. Under RTI, anybody can demand information regarding the functions of a government department or official. The RTI has helped in bringing transparency in working of government departments. So dear students, let's wind up. Today's class is over. In today's class, we have learned different democratic rights under Indian Constitution. It's a very interesting and important chapter. Meet you in next class. Till then, goodbye. Have a